The chairman, Kamik, Professor Koinsola Ajayi, represented by Dr. Dotun Suleiman. All members of Kamik here present. The representative of the African Development Bank, Mr. Alamide Ladipo. Capital market operators here present, our very distinguished guests, colleagues from the Securities and Exchange Commission, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you this afternoon to the launch of the revised Capital Market Master Plan 2021 to 2025. We'll be starting this occasion this afternoon with a remark from the DG Securities and Exchange Commission. Mr. Lamido Abubakar Yuguda. Please make welcome, Mr. Yuguda.
Good afternoon, colleagues. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Market, distinguished Senator Nicola Amosu, ably represented by distinguished Senator Michael Inachi, the chairman of the House Committee on Capital Market and Institutions, Honorable Babangida Ibrahim, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Dr. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, ably represented by the Director General of the Debt Management Office, DMO, the Governor of the Bank of Nigeria, ably represented by the Director of Financial Markets, the CBN, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, ably represented by Ms. Sally Woolhouse, Head of Economic Development at the British High Commission in Abuja. Our sponsors, FSD Africa, ably represented by Mr. Victor Inkiri, the Chairman of the Investment and Securities Tribunal, Mr. Amos Adlu, distinguished colleagues and captains the capital market. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Commission's primary strategic roadmap for developing the Nigerian capital market has been the 10-year capital market master plan, which the SEC has been diligently implementing since 2015. The Commission, working with the market through the Capital Market Master Plan Implementation Council, otherwise known as CAMIC, and other stakeholders, has recorded significant milestones over the years. These achievements include dematerialization of physical certificates, direct cash settlement, recapitalization of capital market operators, e-dividend mandate management system, national savings strategy to grow domestic risk capital formation, roadmap on enhancing commodities trading ecosystem, and the establishment of the West African Securities Regulators Association to encourage integration of capital markets in West Africa, among others. The master plan requires a periodic review of the assumptions, goals, and objectives of the plan to better align the blueprint with current market realities and innovations in the global financial system. Consequently, the Commission carried out a comprehensive midterm review of the plan, driven by PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, with funding support from Financial Sector Deepening Africa. The main objective of the review was to produce an updated version of the document, primarily to engage stakeholders on the current level of market development and opportunities for further capital market growth. 2, review and update the assumptions and vision of the capital market master plan and develop targets for the various thematic areas of the plan. 3, introduce a strategy map and KPIs for the capital market master plan and use the balanced scorecard approach for performance measurement. 4, align existing initiatives with new ones based on targets and strategic objectives. 5, develop an implementation plan for initiatives with clear milestones, deliverables, timelines, resource requirements, and dependencies. 6, identify challenges, opportunities, and risks associated with the capital market master plan implementation and recommend ways of effective and more efficient implementation. And finally, 7, identify and incorporate new product ideas and initiatives to deepen and grow the Nigerian capital market. I'm happy to report that the comprehensive review of the master plan is now complete. And a revised capital market master plan has been produced. The review team incorporated wide-ranging recommendations by stakeholders in our market and global best practices to produce a well-articulated strategic plan for the next 4 years. The master plan is designed to chart a strategic direction while providing clarity of vision and a robust roadmap required to facilitate innovation, investment, growth, and expansion of empowering opportunities in Nigeria and beyond. Our vision is to be Africa's most modern, efficient, and internationally competitive market that catalyzes Nigeria's economic growth and development. We believe the plan provides a solid roadmap for achieving this vision as we collaborate with other stakeholders to effectively drive its implementation. The Commission, CAMIC, and the entire capital market committee sincerely thank 1, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Dr. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, CON, for her unwavering support and commitment to the implementation of the master plan and the development of our capital market. 2, the Financial Sector Deepening Africa, FSD, for their partnership and funding support in the review of the capital market master plan. 3, Dr. Andrew Nevin and his team at PwC for a comprehensive and professional revision of the master plan, and 4, the CAMIC and the entire capital market community for providing valuable insight during the review process. I encourage all stakeholders to embrace the revised master plan so as to leverage its expansive opportunities as we take the market to the next level. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much, Securities and Exchange Commission. May I now call on the sponsor of the revised capital market master plan, FSD Africa, represented by Mr. Victor Nkiri, for its own remarks. Thank you very much.
Honorable Ministers, Chief Advisor to the President, the Board of SEC, Executive Commissioners, the Deputy British High Commissioner, capital markets colleagues, distinguished guests, media houses, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great pleasure that FSD Africa, that is Financial Sector Deepening Africa, is honored to speak at this event that highlights the key role of capital markets and how institutional and how instrumental regulators can be in the economic development of this country, Nigeria. My name is Victor Nkiri. I work with FSD Africa and I'm a capital market specialist, and I'm here representing the organization. And it was indeed a pleasure for us to partner with the regulator. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the authority for taking this bold step of making a comprehensive revision of the Nigeria Capital Markets Master Plan. And we at FSD Africa are delighted to have supported this important strategic document that was initially launched in 2015 and set direction for the Nigeria capital markets for the next 10 years. You may ask yourself today, why is it important to have a capital markets master plan? The master plan helps in developing a capital markets by providing a clear roadmap for development of the market in a holistic and realistic manner, while setting clear targets and action plans that will be achieved by the market actors. A master plan also helps provide positive market signaling to all the financial sector players, such as policymakers, potential domestic and international investors, peer regulators, ministries, etc. By providing this, it creates an indication of the market direction in which the capital markets development is taking, and therefore can be steered in a direction that the market uses. A capital markets master plan also acts as a blueprint, and therefore the capital markets master plan helps to ensure a collaborative and symbiotic market approach is pursued. It helps incorporate sectors such as the pension fund, and in Nigeria, having the largest pension pool of funds in Africa is so instrumental. And not only is this pool large, it is also known as patient capital that is able to invest in long-term instruments. Why was there a need to revise the capital markets master plan? I think, as the DG has explained, we are in interesting times, and therefore there was a need to align the current master plan or the previous master plan with global and local economic realities. We are currently in a post-COVID economic recovery, and that needed to be factored in. We are also seeing the aftermath of the Ukraine war, whereby supply chains have been disrupted and local microeconomic factors have changed, including FX volatility. The need to drive long-term capital to fund economic growth has never been more important than it is now. The master plan was also revised to align with the current dynamics and disruptions that are happening in the capital market space. We have seen fintechs coming strong and providing technology in the capital market space, and that needed to be factored in. There has been decentralization of finance. Digital assets and technologies such as blockchain have been used to power capital markets. It was also important to do this revision to position Nigeria as a market that is brought a market that responds to the global call of climate finance, a market that is resilient, and through development of sustainable finance instruments, Nigeria has taken the lead, having issued the first global sovereign bond in the world. Other instruments for sustainable finance, such as green bond, blue bonds, gender bond, are on the way, and the master plan needed to factor all this in. Why did FSD Africa support this initiative and partner together with the Security Exchange Commission? This is because we sought a champion in Africa. We sought a champion in Nigeria that will enhance economic resilience by prioritizing long-term capital accumulation in the Nigerian economy. And we found such a champion in the Security Exchange Commission. A clear roadmap. Thank you. A clear roadmap will help result in an increased domestic and institutional investor confidence. The roadmap will create opportunities for investors in this market, both domestic and international, to invest more into the asset classes that have been formed. This will also provide an opportunity to continue having strategic partnerships with key stakeholders and ministries and continue growing the markets as per need be. How do we expect this revised capital markets master plan to shape this market? The expectation is that the Nigeria markets have gained prominence amongst its peers. Having been currently one of the largest capital markets in Africa, the size has increased, the depth has grown, and the sophistication has diversified in its products. The capital markets in Nigeria continue to play a key role in economic development. The master plan will provide this blueprint for the market to remain up to date and to continue growing and to hold its status and its reputation with its peers. We have continually collaborated with the Commission as FSD Africa. They are a valuable partner in this West Africa region. We provide technical assistance on various initiatives that have been aimed to strengthen the regulator, including SEC digitalization, including the HR transformation, and we are delighted to support SEC even currently as we review the green bonds and social bonds rules. For an emerging economy such as Nigeria, capital markets play a very pertinent role in mobilizing capital. The key productive sector to drive growth. Currently, the capital markets in this market provide below 10% of the GDP, and therefore there is much opportunity for growth of the capital markets. On the other hand, key players have emerged in this market. Some of them new, such as InfraCredit and the African Local Currency Bond Fund that are partnered with the Nigeria capital debt market. We are delighted also to continue working with other players in the market, such as the government, who we as FSD Africa have supported both the first green bond and the second issuance of the green bond. The Nigeria, there was also support of corporate bonds, and as soon as last month, there was a private bond issued by Darwin Coast, which continues to promote sustainable finance in this country. We applaud the Commission for taking initiatives geared towards promoting sustainable finance. For example, spearheading the development of sustainable frameworks that we are currently working on, and approving green sukuks in Africa, and supporting the rollout of different programs in this market. In conclusion, we pledge our continued support to the key stakeholders in this market. That the key market players that we're already working with, such as the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Water and Resources to issue a green bond, Ministry of Agriculture to issue an agriculture bond, the FMDQ group, the Nigeria Securities Exchange, NGX, PENCOM, PENOX, market intermediaries, and different investors. We pledge that we will continue working with the Commission in positioning Nigeria capital markets regionally and internationally, and we are excited about the prospects of growth. Thank you.
FSTA is our sponsor. And you know what it is when you have a sponsor, they deserve a better applause. Thank you very much, FMG. Thank you for objectively finding the Nigerian capital markets and the Securities and Exchange Commission in particular worthy of your support. Thank you again, because I heard you pledge to continue to support us. We don't take that for granted. Thank you very much. May I now call on Ms. Sally Woolhouse, the Head Economic Development of the UK High Commission, to make a remark on behalf of the High Commission. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
So good afternoon, everyone. And standing on established protocols, it is a pleasure, a great pleasure to be here at today's launch of the revised Nigeria Capital Market Master Plan. And just to follow on from those closing remarks, you know, as the funder for FSD, I also stand here to reiterate those comments. We do hope to continue to support FSD Africa and the work, the important and varied, diverse work that they are doing here in Nigeria. So just a couple more remarks. The UK government, which has been a long-standing ally of the Nigerian government, is committed to supporting the country's financial sector, particularly the capital market, being more innovative, sustainable, and resilient, even as we face emerging challenges such as climate change. Today's launch is evidence that partnerships truly work when all parties remain focused on a mutual goal. Climate change is a common enemy that we're all facing, both globally and as individual countries. And whether we are mitigating or adapting to climate change, the capital market remains an important instrument in achieving success. The Nigerian capital market is well positioned to mobilizing private sector finance to support Nigeria's net zero targets, as well as channeling investments for infrastructure development, climate mitigation, and adaptation projects. It's also a vehicle to increasing resilience to climate change impact and loss across key sectors, including agriculture, power, manufacturing, transport, and more. Following COP27, where the topic of financing for mitigation and adaptation took the center stage, so much is asked of capital markets in aggregating green and innovative financing. And today's launch is a testament to Nigeria's readiness to roll up the sleeves and in fighting against the negative impact of climate change. As I earlier mentioned about UK government support, our offerings cover technical support to green the capital market, and FSDA is doing an awesome job in partnering with you to drive this mission. Also, we can explore other potential strategic engagement with the UK financial market institution, such as the London Stock Exchange, but not limited to that, through which SEC would gain insight into emerging trends. I did just want to touch on two other. Obviously, the UK involvement in Nigeria is also diverse and covers education, humanitarian, security, and other areas. But two initiatives that I think are relevant to this audience is number one, a Mobilist program that we're running. And I'll just spell that MOBILIST, because actually they've got a really super website which gives much more information for anyone interested. But it's basically a very broad and global call for proposals for people that are keen to create new and innovative listed vehicles. And it's very broad in its scope, and I encourage people to look at it. But it's basically to support the generation of new ideas and taking new ideas to market, the things that can be groundbreaking. So that's Mobilist. And another one is InfraCredit, which is a Nigerian institution based here, which was seed funded by UK Capital, where quite much more recently, it's been going for several years, but more recently we've seed funded a first loss capital that allows local currency investments in infrastructure, specifically targeting the off-grid sector. So green and other basically renewable energy projects domestically funded in Nigeria. And it has basically facilitated the creation of a new asset class, which is AAA rated through the InfraCredit guarantees. And now we're hoping that they will embark on a fundraise to get more capital into that same vehicle. But just two other initiatives that I think might be of interest to the audience. But once again, congratulations to the Nigerian government and well done to SEC for pulling off a commendable feat in this new action plan. And we look forward to working more collaboratively with every partner in achieving sustainable and resilient financial sector in Nigeria. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Please let's also clap for our sponsor. Thank you very much. Our warm regards to the leadership of the High Commission. Now there's a committee that drove the implementation of the master plan, the 10-year master plan up until today. And this committee will also drive the implementation of the revised master plan. That committee is known as the Capital Market Master Plan Implementation Committee, CAMIC. I'd like us to appreciate all members of CAMIC here present. If you can stand up for recognition. Thank you, that's seated over there. So on behalf of the chairman of CAMIC, I'll be calling on Dr. Suleiman to give a remark. Thank you very much, as you come forward, sir. You're welcome.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here representing the chairman of CAMIC, Dr. Kwame Ajayi, who is unavoidably absent. The Capital Markets Master Plan Implementation Council has been leading the implementation of the 10-year master plan together with SEC since the master plan is started in 2015. CAMIC, together with our key stakeholders, have reported important successes over the years with the implementation of the original master plan. After facilitating the streamlining of the master plan into the national economic planning process, the CAMIC has masterminded and supported the implementation of the several initiatives that has helped deepen and grow our markets. Notwithstanding the ambitious and laudable initiatives within the original master plan, every plan requires reviews and realignment from time to time to ensure that it remains effective at effective solutions to address emerging challenges and stay true to fulfilling its vision. Now, this is especially crucial given that we've all lived through very dynamic environment over the last few years, and it looks like the future is not going to be any less exciting than it's been in the last 2 to 3 years. And therefore, we cannot assume, therefore, that the plan that we put together in 2050 will lead us into the future. Now, we face several challenges in the financial system emanating from both the global financial system and domestic issues here in Nigeria. Significantly, fintech and digital assets are disrupting forces to financial markets, and we must articulate a plan to capitalize on the opportunities they represent. I'm happy to say that the revised master plan that we're going to be launching this afternoon has made important recommendations on how to harness these opportunities. Our market does not adequately reflect the size of our economy. Nigeria's capital market has the potential to be 3 to 5 times its current size. Again, I'm glad that the revised master plan focuses on recommendations for growing our market through initiatives such as expanding retail and institutional participation, attracting the growing tech sector in Nigeria, easing entry and exit experience for all investment activities, amongst others. The revised master plan has also itemized important objectives for the regulator to enhance its capacity to deliver on its mandates. This is especially important considering the role of the regulator in ensuring investor confidence and transparency and market discipline. I'm aware that the SEC has already embarked on several commendable transformational initiatives to represent itself for the future. The vision that were encapsulated in the original master plan is to be Africa's most modern, efficient, and internationally competitive market that catalyzes Nigeria economic growth and development. This vision is ambitious, but it is achievable. We all need to work together as a market across the financial sector and with government to ensure that we ease all bottlenecks and address policy gaps that will help unleash the power of the private sector to drive the market growth we all aspire to. We believe the revised master plan provides a solid roadmap for achieving this vision as we collaborate with all our stakeholders under the leadership of SEC. The revised master plan has proposed changes to the implementation governance structure to make it more efficient, flexible, and focused on providing positive environments for the market and all stakeholders. Consequently, I would like to implore the DG of SEC to ensure that this structure is fully implemented and manned as proposed. On behalf of the chairman of CAMIC, I would like to assure you of our continued commitment towards the diligent implementation of the revised aftermarket master plan 2021 to 2025. And working together with the market, I have no doubt that our vision to be Africa's most modern, efficient, and internationally competitive market that catalyzes Nigeria's economic growth and development will be realized. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suleiman. Dr. Suleiman is then chair the committee that produced the 10-year master plan. Thank you very much, sir. So for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be listening to a presentation by Ms. Bolanle Adekoya of PricewaterhouseCoopers on the highlights of the revised capital market master plan. Ms. Adekoya, please. You're welcome. Can we welcome Ms. Adekoya?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and permit me to please stand on all existing protocols. We're very pleased to be here. My team and I, we worked on the revisions with Dr. Andrew Nevin, and it's a privilege to be part of this very important project for us as a nation. And I've got a presentation that I prepared for this session. And we'll just sort of spend the next 20 to 30 minutes sort of just going through the highlights of the actual revised capital market plan. Incidentally, the US Fed actually released their own revised strategic master plan yesterday for the next 4 years. So I think this is, this is very good timing. Just as way of introductions, my name is Bolanle Adekoya. I'm a partner in PwC, and I head the Capital Markets Advisory Group for West Africa. And so this is one of the sort of key areas that we usually work on and for other countries. Next slide, please. Thank you. Just a little, sort of background. A lot has been said today if you listen about the importance of the capital markets. The truth about it is that when it comes to the development of an economy and sort of seeing how GDP grows and seeing other opportunities to bring in foreign, direct investment into the capital market, forms a key part of it. And it also creates opportunities when it comes to things like exit strategy. It's a cheaper way of financing, so when you look at our circular economy, we're trying to move away from oil. So how do we then do that? And we've also talked about the fact that there's a lot of resources that we have out there in this nation that are not being utilized. So it's also very great to sort of hear about the various infrastructure funds that are doing it. But the truth about it is that the capital market has to be at the center of it all. It creates a cheaper access to funding. It creates, opportunity around wealth creation. So we heard today about gold and some other things in there. It also, gives exit strategies, because one of the things that you will find from a lot of investors that come in, they complain about the fact they all have to sit in a queue trying to get their money out of CBN. And, this is an opportunity for us to be able to actually create that exit strategy for them, as well as growing the economy. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So let's just sort of look at, the figures. What are we talking about? So look at Nigeria. Nigeria, we are the largest by GDP, as well as, population in Africa. And hence, there's so much we should be doing. We have a diverse resources. We have various sectors that we're moving, and a lot of investment is going on there. But in most developing nations, you will find that a lot of growth around GDP is about, that the capital market contributes, starts from about 20% and upwards. So this diagram is just sort of showing where we are as a nation. In Nigeria, we're currently sitting by stock market capitalization at only 13%. To make it worse, the actual contribution to GDP is only 6%. So there's a lot that we can do. And if you look at what is happening in other nations, you are looking at double figures and high double figures for that matter. I mean, look at South Africa. South Africa is doing a lot better than us. And yet we do have a lot more access to funds. Even when you look at the combination of the sectors that we have in Nigeria, the good thing about it that we are moving away from oil and gas. Oil and gas has dropped quite significantly, but there's a lot that we can still tap into. Next slide, please. So looking at that, even though COVID has happened, one of the things that you would find if you look at some of the data around our capital market is actually growing. It's actually growing. Equities are doing very well. Yes, there's a number of restrictions around what the pension funds can do, but they are moving into different areas with the multi-fund that PenCom has brought in. But there is still so much more. So if you look at the performance and the growth rate over time, apart from the dips, there has been steady increase over time. But of course, we mustn't forget the elephant in the room, which is our exchange rate and inflation in the last 2 years. And what can we do about it? So that is why it's very important that we commit to the implementation of the capital market plan. Next slide, please. So notwithstanding all that I said on the economy, let's now go on to this capital market plan. So about 7 years ago, next slide, please, the CAMIC put together a 10-year plan. And when this plan was done in 2015, it was done with great intention. But one of the things that we found from looking through this project was that there were a lot of duplications in certain areas. There were a lot of issues around trying to implement it because of the broad nature of it. So the capital market, the original 10-year plan was put together looking at four to six things. There were four main things, as well as 2 additional areas of focus, which then had initiatives achieved, attached to this. Within that plan, there were 30 objectives that the initiatives covered. And there were 111 initiatives. So think about the body. There were quite a number of things that were in there, which of course made it a little bit, difficult to implement. And because of that, it may not have, a lot may not have been achieved as quickly as possible, but a lot was still done. And we really, really commend what the SEC has achieved over the years with regards to the improvement and the development of the capital market, as well as what NGX and the various other trading authorities have done. So having said that, this is where we are. We know that there are macroeconomic challenges. We are aware of the fact that sometimes there are issues around trying to get buy-in with stakeholders because of the fact that there are multiple regulators involved, multiple institutes involved in trying to do the same thing. And in some cases, we also have situation about maybe lack of technology in certain areas or development and literacy as well. So one of the things that we try to do with the revised master plan is to bring all of this together. We engaged quite a number of stakeholders, pretty much all the stakeholders involved. I think we engaged probably about 32 to 38 broad categories for stakeholders to try and sort of come up with a revised one that was inclusive, as well as dealing with some of the issues around regulations and policies that we currently have. Next slide, please. So before I then go into the actual revised master plan, I just thought to just sort of also highlight the fact that this is sort of the scorecard of the last 10-year master that was done by the cabinet. About 30% of it was implemented, and as I said, there were a lot of challenges around it, but a lot was still done. And to be honest, we've come a long way, but we still know there's a lot to be achieved in the next 4 years. So the various areas that you would find that some initiatives were implemented, we have things around customer market literacy, things around the diversity of portfolio, maybe around the non-interest banking, non-interest capital market initiative, competitiveness, things around the regulation and oversight with the various, sort of the divisions that were made and the clear division of labor, I would say, that happened across the various institutions and the stakeholders in there. However, there were still some key challenges that were faced. One of it, which I'm hoping we're going to improve later on, going forward, is collaboration. So even from our exercise, we did find that there were a lot of things around collaboration, or the lack of it in that sense, where there needed to be a driver. And that's why, one of the asks today, later on, we'll find that we are asking that the Honorable Minister be the one to be sort of cheering and pushing it. As the SEC drives it, they need, the SEC needs that backing so that everyone comes on board to ensure that we're able to do it this time as well. Another issue that came up as well had to do with just investor engagement and literacy around it. As you all know, Nigeria, we do have a very, very youthful population. I mean, I am sure all of you are not, you are aware about what happened with the collapse of FTX and crypto. We have a lot of our young people that lost a lot of their savings, in the last 3 weeks as a result of it. And a lot of it has to do with lack of literacy, education. So we do need to make sure that we're embedding that, when it comes to that, and as well as things around data management and, KYC things, and making it a lot more smoother for people to invest in our capital market. Next slide, please. So what did we do? So we were engaged by SEC and FSD Africa, as I said earlier on. So what we did was we reviewed the 10-year plan. We had a look at all the challenges. We engaged quite a number of stakeholders, from the actual investors, institutional investors, the individual investors, the brokers, the commodities exchange, the CFS, everyone, to sort of try and come up with this. And we examined what has happened and made sure, looking forward. So looking at things like sustainability as well, looking at things like fintech, looking at things around, ecosystem, climate change. What does that mean? How do we make sure that we put this in and make sure that our capital market plan is fit for the future? And so that led us, next slide, please, to the revised master plan. So here are the key components. The first thing we did, and something that you always start with, is the vision. So we actually revised the vision from so after engaging with key stakeholders, we actually had a meeting and sort of walked through it and said, look, what do you want to see? You know, we said we wanted to be one of the top 20 in the world, but we said, you know what, let's even start in Africa. Where do we want to be? And that was what we did. And so we came up with this in conjunction with the various stakeholders, and set at the forefront of it to say that we want to be Africa's most modern, efficient, and internationally competitive market that capitalizes Nigeria growth and development. So modern, efficient, and internationally competitive. So we want a situation that people can relate to what we do. We want it to be relatable. We want people to be able to come in with ease. We want people to be able to trade with ease. We want it to be efficient, and we also want it to be modern, fit for the future. The other thing that we did, we looked at the various strategic themes and objectives. So the objectives were streamlined from 30 to 21. The initiatives were streamlined from 111 to 53. And then one of the key things that we know was sort of, that was a struggle at the beginning was having measurable targets. So what we then did was that for the various initiatives, we ensured that there were targets that were set and how we will measure them, so that it's easy for there to be feedback and for people to be able to monitor to see how it's going. So you can refer to it and know that it's going, as planned. And then, we also looked at the governance structure, because governance is very important because it has to be driven. If it's not driven, it cannot be delivered. So we looked at and put together a governance structure that was in agreement with the various stakeholders we set, and our DG Sec was very instrumental to that. We really appreciated him and his team and the support that we received from that. And then the last thing was to put together an actual implementation roadmap. Okay. So this slide, I'm not expecting you to be able to read, it's quite small. I'm hoping that you will share the presentation with you later on. So what this slide does, it's taken the 21 objectives that were revised and put them under the 4 themes that we try to cover. So the first one, of course, around contribution to national economy, which at the end of the day is what we really want to see. We want to see our economy, develop. The second one, of course, is around innovation and development or literacy, depending on how you want to see it. So one of the things we want in situation, we want it, even though it's human-led, it has to be tech-enabled. It's a phrase we use a lot in PwC, because at the end of the day, everyone wants everything instantly. You want to be able to do things quite quickly on your phone. The phone is where you need to be. People need to be able to see real time where the information is. And then you want it to be congruent when it comes to information. So, we have comments where people will talk about the fact that we've done BVN, but why is the situation when you now want to sign up with CSCS, or you want to sign up with credit bureau, you have to do the same things over and over and over again. So we looked at how we can bring that in. Competitiveness. So when it comes to rates as well, so looking at more developed market, how do people deal with, whilst you're balancing making money from all the people that are making money, how can you be competitive with your rates? And then of course regulation and policy. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just a depiction of the bed with this. Another thing that we tried to do as well was to actually put in there, things around the sort of the low impact, low implementation versus the medium area, and then the high one, the ones that would help us. So the high priority areas that we've highlighted, I'm going to talk about them shortly in the next slide, are the ones that, in a sense, we should focus on quite quickly, because the thing about them is that when you're able to achieve them, you will see a lot more traction. They will show a lot more difference with regard to capital markets in there. And of course, medium priority and then the low priority. Some of the low priority ones are quite low hanging fruit, and some of them I know have already been done. So, the work has already started around the framework. Next slide, please. Okay. So the next few slides, what I've tried to do, as I said, there are 121, there were 111 initiatives, which we have allowed to 53 initiatives. The next sort of five slide is actually just putting those initiatives in there. As I said, it is quite tough for some of you to read, but some of you might be able to see the one on this side. Is to also show the timeline for them. Because one of the things, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a few of those, them, and you can also go back and sort of read them later once they give them to you. So the first one I'm actually going to take is the number 4. Collaborate with capital market operators to facilitate the availability of long-term capital through the use of sustainable finance. So as we all know, the world is changing. There have been new standards around the sustainable finance and how ecosystems are changing, because nowadays it is very important where your money comes from. So as the capital market, Nigeria, if we want to bring in foreign investment, we need to have that mechanism to be able to monitor that. And this might also mean not working in a sense, because I know that SEC has released something around non-financial reporting on sustainable ESG reporting for some of the listed entities. But we probably need to look a bit broader at what it means, because people need to be able to measure and know where the sustainable finance is coming. So that's one of the areas to look at. Facilitate increased participation of pension funds and insurance companies in the capital markets. I know this was said earlier on, it's been said quite a few times today. Our pension funds are very key in this. And as much as, there's always that risk factor where people sort of sit, they allow us to plan because they know what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, with such a youthful population that we are, we need to help our people to think long term. Because over time, equity, they move, so how can we then facilitate that and making sure that the pension funds are able to make use of this, they have, it's massive, they have a lot of capital, and that is where, where a lot of funds going to come from. The same thing is that currently our insurance, a lot of our insurance companies are, they're not really where they should be. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're not able to grow at pace. We have a situation in Nigeria where a lot of people, there's the spiritual factor that's also engaging in insurance and all that. So a lot of this is also going to help in that sense in some of these insurance companies. So it's important that we bring this, in here. As I said, the plan is sort of spend the next 2 to 3 years to try and implement a number of these as well. Next slide, please. Around market development and innovation, I already talked about it. So where do we, if you look at things around blockchain, conduct effective reviews around technology, so blockchain. So in Nigeria, for example, we do have some agencies and some of these online apps and all this. They are making money from the Nigerians, but I'm sure that nobody is regulating them, nor are they paying taxes or some of the returns that they're making. So how do we then bring this thing? So we need to find a way of taking, whether it's through the telecoms authority or through CBN or collaborating to make sure that some of these things are captured, so that we can also benefit from the return in there and some of the practical stay in there. Things around ESG and incentives on issuances. So people who issue, we want to hopefully minimize some of the greenwashing that happens, but we're hoping that through putting the right incentives and channels in place, people can actually start reporting appropriately about their measurement against some of these ESG type initiatives. Next slide, please. I already mentioned earlier on, so another thing is on section 14, where it says increase access of the public to basic finance information, so using a dedicated website, easy to read guidebook, social media page, smartphone apps. So as I mentioned earlier on with the smartphones, one of the challenges that we found over time when we started was the lack of ease of finding information on how people can invest. So we need to go better on that. How can we do that? So making use of, as I said, apps, the phones, easy. I know that, there was a market operator that told me that we can call our helpline. Nobody wants to call the helpline. They want to be able to get things quite quickly on the phone. So how can we then do that and make sure that there's consistent information, across the line in there. And the other thing that you'll find is that a lot of these initiatives are things that we hope we'll be able to achieve in the next 1 year. And so because of that, of course, all your support is required. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Another area around the competition, what are the things you need to look at? One key thing to help with competition is actually when it comes to feedback. Feedback is very, very key. So as things are happening, how can you improve and hear from feedback from your users? This is very important. So one of the things that we were trying to encourage, apart from the fees, is also feedback. How do you make sure and ensure putting a mechanism with regards to feedback? So there are tools that you can use to make sure that feedback from across all users and stakeholders can be captured to help improve their user experience and capital market engagement. Next slide, please. Okay, and the last but not the least slide I want to talk about was on the market oversight and regulation. As I said, it's very, this forum only has 30 minutes. It's a short time to go through the whole, capital market plan, because it's quite a big document. But one of the things that you will find, as well, when it comes to, market oversight and regulation, we have a number of regulations and policies that sit in different pockets in different institutions in our nation that people refer to. So how do we then bring this together? So one of the work streams that we need to do is how can we implement appropriate mechanisms around things like dispute resolutions. So if there are issues, how do we do that? How can we be advocates for foreign investors? So you have a situation where, recently I had one of my foreign clients say to me that, if you don't know the right people at CBN, or if you don't know the right person at a particular bank, I can't get my, my dividends out, or things, along those lines. How can we make sure that there are those right channels to be able to, engage and ensure that proper oversight and regulation with fairness in the system? So that's what this is looking at. And then also, of course, looking at the legal framework. So talking to lawyers and how we can then look at all this and make sure that it's there. Even things around guidebooks that may be required for functioning of the various markets. Next slide. So having said all this, how do we make this revised capital market plan a success? The first thing is that the SEC, Ministry of Finance, cannot do it alone. It's not just their responsibility, it's everyone's responsibility. We all need to embrace it. At the moment, there are various fractions. Earlier on, we had presentations from the various market operators, but we need to work together. And leadership is very important in there. Leadership. Second thing is open and timely communication. So I know that the cabinet has been working together with regard to the implementation, but they need the support of everyone. There also has to be accountability structure, which I mentioned, which has also to do with the feedback. How can we do that? Government support is very needed. Advocates who can, if we're all speaking from the same page and knowing that it's all for everyone's benefits, this will help. Public education and awareness. The public needs to know what we are doing, where we're going, what's going on. Because, investment starts from, even at the moment, the people in investment, they're all making an investment. But guess what? We want their investment to be in safe vehicles, safe investment vehicles, not just things that they do on their phone, so that they don't get into all these MMM and all these things that, cause them to lose value in that sense. Clear reporting lines, transparency, and of course, as I mentioned, the last thing as well, comprehensive feedback mechanism for successful implementation. Okay, next slide, please. I'm done actually, but we just want to there was one slide that I was asked to go to. Next slide, please. Just to sort of show the structure of the implementation. Next slide, then just show the last slide. Okay, not sure. But the last slide was just the implementation structure. I think they wanted me to see with regard to have asking the Ministry of Finance to be the people at the top with the set guidelines and then the various stakeholders to be part of it as well. So that was the slide. But thank you very much. I don't know if we have any type of questions or anything anybody. Okay, there it is. So that was my last slide. But so this, I said, I will share with you. So looking at the financial regulators and the various working committees as well, that if when you're invited, please do join and be a part of the success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adekoya. We can take 2 questions, if any. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much. That means your presentation was well received. Thank you. May I now respectfully call on the representative of the Honorable Minister of Finance, Ms. Patience Oniha, to give the remarks as the chief contractor. Thank you.
My duty here, my assignment here is to make a presentation on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, who is unavoidably absent, as most of you would know, a part of the executive is in Niger for the Africa Union Summit, so they've been quite busy there. But she would have wanted to be here. I recall that she was at the initial meeting when it was shared briefly with her in her office. So let me apologize on her behalf and say that I'll just read the message as we say in government, as directed. Let me start with the protocols. The Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Chairman of the Investment and Securities Tribunal, the Chairman and members of the Capital Market Master Plan Implementation Council, members of the capital market community, and some other people that are added now. Of course, we do have Honorable Ibrahim, who is the chair of the House of Representatives Committee on the Capital Market, and Senator Lachi, representing the chairman of the Senate Committee on Capital Markets. There is Dr. Mrs. Angela Ejembi, Director of Financial Markets Department of the Central Bank, representing the governor of the Central Bank. There is Professor Join Salami, Chief Economic Advisor to the President, and of course we have representatives of the UK government. So I just proceed to read the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the launch of the revised Capital Market Master Plan. The implementation of the master plan is one of the key initiatives in the 40 deliverables of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to His Excellency Mr. President. This underscores the fact that capital market growth resonates with this administration unwavering commitment to deepening and positioning the financial market as a key anchor to achieving the private sector-led development of our economy as envisaged in the National Development Plan objective. This administration, and especially my office, has supported the Capital Market Master Plan implementation efforts since inception. The master plan, which represents the collective aspirations of the capital market community, is focused on driving initiatives geared towards growing and deepening the market with the ultimate goal of accelerating the emergence of our country in the top 20 global economies by the year 2025. I hosted the Capital Market Master Plan Implementation Council in my office, where I received updates of successes recorded so far in the implementation efforts. Kami also shared some of the challenges that need to be addressed by the government and other key stakeholders. Let me commend the Securities and Exchange Commission, Kami, and the capital market community for the laudable achievements, especially in the areas of materialization of share certificates, e-dividend mandate management system, facilitation of access to alternative investments like Sukuk, enhancing the commodities trading ecosystem, national savings strategy, the mutualization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and the ongoing review of the Investment and Securities Act, among others. I'm also aware of the ongoing efforts on other initiatives like the direct cash settlement, introduction of derivatives, financial literacy, enhancing market liquidity, incentives for listing, growth of collective investment schemes, and leveraging fintech solutions in the capital market. I'm sure you of government support in all these efforts, and I'm confident in the ability to successfully drive these initiatives to fruition. To sustain the growth of the capital market and eventually transform it to an internationally competitive capital market, transparency and investor confidence are key. Investor confidence will accelerate the growth of our market and increase both domestic and foreign investor participation. To this end, we will continue to support and strengthen the regulator to effectively do its job of regulating and developing the capital market. Our market should be characterized by a high level of compliance with ethical standards, deep liquidity and sophistication, good corporate governance, and a strong domestic investor. Nigeria needs a capital market that broadens access to economic prosperity by enabling the emergence of financially responsible citizens, accelerating wealth creation and distribution, providing capital to small and medium-scale enterprises, and catalyzing housing finance. I consider the revised capital market master plan a veritable tool, with the capital market review as it drives key initiative towards achieving the country's economic growth objectives. As we chart the course for the next phase of the capital market master plan's implementation, I assure you of the federal government's support and look forward to working with you all to realize the plan's objectives. Thank you. Mrs. Dr. Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, POS, Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. We have now come to the business of the day, which is to launch the revised master plan itself. May I invite the representative of the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning to do us the honors of launching the master plan. They will be flagged by the board members of the Securities and Exchange Commission. All board members, please. All board members will say. I apologize, I missed the protocol. Honorable Babangida, please. Senator Nachi. Senator Nachi, all board members of SEC. Professor Doyin Salami, please. Professor Doyin Salami, please join. Dr. Suleiman, please join them. Dr. Mo, he's a keen, I think. Representative of the CBN governor. FSDA, please. Please hold on. FSDA, PwC, analytics. UK, government. Can we give her a microphone, please? Can we give her a microphone?
On behalf of the Honorable Minister for Finance, Budget and National Planning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my opportunity to present the new capital market master plan. Thank you.
You may please make it to the stage for a group photograph. Thank you. Please let's have copies of the master plan.
Or can some of our time
No, everybody has to be there. And for the purpose. Like, let's take calm down. Yes, ma'am, but may I ask that the Honorable Minister of Finance, his representative, and the executive commissioners of executive management of SEC wait behind while others join in the photograph. So I'll call on these exchanges. The exchanges and other market stuff, other depositories. No, don't take that. Okay, please. I need a microphone, so I don't have to bother about it. Yes. Okay. Ma, please. Okay, let's take this, please.
No, you are joining us.
Please join. Executive Manager, please wait a minute. It's from Franklin. Yes, yeah. Market infrastructures generally, please. Just a minute, somebody's coming, quickly. Yes, HODs of SEC, management of SEC. Management of SEC, that's HODs. Please make it up this stage very quickly.